Welcome, everyone, to our event. Welcome to My Body is a Monument. We want to thank you all for being here today. We want to thank you all for just being alive in this moment. And we want to thank you also for participating in tonight's conversation for the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services, DBHIDS. My name is Gabriel Bryant. I am the Engaging Males of Color Coordinator here at the department. And I want to make sure that you all can not only be invited for a conversation that is going to hopefully enlighten you, but hopefully also enrich your spirit, as well as enrich your thoughts and minds when it comes to questions of race in this country, when it comes to questions of trauma, and also how we can all as a community navigate these experiences all together in unity and as one. I want to first of all thank our folks who are organizing this with us, who are great partners, including our colleague Jamie Brunson with First Person Arts. And so I actually would like to have her come on board and share some thoughts as well. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Gabe. First Person Arts is so proud to partner with the City of Philadelphia Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services on their Engaging Males of Color initiative. You see, males of color suffer disproportionately from behavioral health issues, and anyone watching the news will easily understand why. But you cannot engage males of color without engaging women of color and other women who love males of color. We have powerful stories to tell tonight, and that's exactly what we're here to do. Thank you, Gabe. Enjoy the performance.
If I can, for folks who are new to this experience about EMOC, we started the initiative about 6 years ago, and the goal really was multifaceted. The goal was to build health literacy for men and boys of color. The goal was to increase access and awareness to behavioral health services and to also reduce the stigma associated with mental health when it comes to folks who identify as men, who are African American, who are African, who are Latinx, who are Asian, who are Native American or American Indian. These are communities that oftentimes aren't accessing our services. There may be social taboos. There may be issues around stigma and bullying, and multiple reasons and a myriad of reasons of why folks cannot figure out ways to access services. Maybe they live in communities where they're not familiar with the health center or the health clinic. Maybe they were raised in a way as a man, as a young man, as a boy that suppressed or conditioned folks to not be able to express their full emotion and their full humanity. And with the vision of our then commissioner, Dr. Arthur C. Evans, and then continuing on to our Commissioner David Jones and our current acting commissioner, Dr. Jill Bowen. The goal really of EMOC is to promote mental health and wellness for men and boys of color. You can actually follow us on Twitter at EMOC Philly. That's EMOC Philly, where you can get updated on all of the events, not only about DBHIDS and EMOC, but also about our larger system, including Healthy Minds Philly, and as well as information that might help you and your family and loved ones when it comes to issues around mental health, behavioral health, addiction services, and the like. And so that's the work that we're trying to do. That's the work that we're doing every day. We want to thank those who are in recovery day to day, and we want to thank those who are persevering in this moment of crisis. We know that 2020 has been challenging for many people, not only in Philadelphia, but across the Commonwealth and certainly across the country. And so we want to not only thank you all for participating, but also give you our solace and our prayers and thoughts for anybody that may have lost somebody this year due to COVID. We understand that the coronavirus has impacted so many families, and as a system, we want to honor, the loss and the grief, recognizing that for so many of us, services have not been able to be held for a funeral due to COVID-19. And so we do want to honor those loved ones lost from you all. Once again, if you want to contact us for EMOC for any further information, we've got a great team ready to work with you all. You can contact me at also gabriel.bryant@phila.gov. With that being said, I want to push us through. As you will see at the bottom of your screen, there will be resources throughout the entirety of this program that will provide you all with services, resources. Feel free to write them down, take a snapshot. These are services for you and your family and loved ones so that they can be cared for and nurtured in the way that they need to be. What I would like to do now is actually talk to our team members, because one of the great things about this program is the ability to not only build conversation, but also build a sense of unity with this conversation as well. There have been so many folks trying to figure out what can we do in this moment, how can we gravitate towards support, and I want to also share that because we're part of the Planning Innovation Division of the department, one of the great things is being able to tie back in true supports and figure out next steps. I think that we have a valuable and a fantastic lineup of speakers tonight who are not only thrilled to be here this evening to share their art and work with you, but to also figure out ways they can plug in to services for you all beyond this evening. So again, you're going to be in for a treat, and you're going to be in for some excitement as well as a very, again, powerful conversation. I'm going to pass this back over to Jamie so that she can get us started. Actually, what we're going to do, just again, the great thing about Zoom is that we're going to tie back in. We can make adjustments on the fly. We have a fantastic uh, headliner this evening, somebody who we've all read. Our Deputy Commissioner Roland Lamb came to me and came to our team back in June, and he said, "Hey guys, we just read this article in the New York Times that was incredible. It spoke to the moment. It spoke to George Floyd. It spoke to Ahmaud Arbery. It spoke to Breonna Taylor. It spoke to Tony Dade, McDade, all the names, but more importantly, the moment of crisis that was monuments, statues being torn down." She wrote a fantastic article called "My Body." Matter of fact, do you want a Confederate monument? My body is a monument. And that article not only was so powerful for what it said, but it was so powerful in the ways that it was able to share just the vast issues of race uh, and things that we have to still deal with, frankly, as a community, as a country. Um, Not only is it powerful because it came from this essayist, but it's powerful because it resonated. Caroline Randall Williams is the catalyst. She makes change possible by bringing art and joy into the room in such a way that the grit of real challenge and limits may become eclipsed by analysis, innovation, and skill. Caroline is an award winning poet, young adult novelist, and cookbook author, as well as an activist, public intellectual, performance artist, and scholar. She is the author of the powerful New York Times opinion piece, "You Want a Confederate Monument? My Body is a Confederate Monument," which grabbed international attention as a reckoning in the movement to dismantle systemic racism. Born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, Williams is a Harvard graduate and a writer in residence in medicine, health, and society at Vanderbilt University. She focuses her work and speaks to the places where art, business, and scholarship intersect, moving people closer to their best lives and corporations closer to their ideal identities. I'll close by saying this. You may have seen her on Morning Joe, Dr. Oz, or The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell. More likely, you've read her. Caroline's first book, The Diary of B.B. Bright, Possible Princess, won the Harlem Book Fair's Phillis Wheatley Prize, was a finalist for the NAACP Image Award. Her second co-authored volume, Soul Food Love, won the NAACP Image Award and got her invited to speak at the Smithsonian. That being said, I would love to bring on and introduce to you all the wonderful and fantastic Caroline Randall Williams. Welcome.
Oh my God. Listen,
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm so glad to share this space with you. I'm laughing at y'all are wrong for leaving me on the screen while he read my bio. I have to send a different bio to be read when I'm actually going to be there, because that's hard to hear. But
you're good to go.
I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to be here in this space. I'm so grateful to be getting to do this work. When I was little, I used to tell my mother that I wish there was a war because I wanted to fight for us, because I didn't feel like it was done. And I thought that it kind of looked like it was done from my crazy vantage of privilege that I was being raised in, but I knew it wasn't. And I was like, I wish there was a war, because I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda said it right. It's in Hamilton, but I wish there was a war so I could prove what I was willing to do for this. And that's been one of the strange gifts of this moment, has been, those checks are being called into account to see what we're willing to do for the war, because it never was over, right? And it's still sort of unbelievable to me to be sharing space this evening with, and I hope she's out there already, but with a personal hero of mine in Sonia Sanchez. Ms. Sanchez, Sister Sanchez, if I may, I want all of y'all, including Sonia Sanchez, to know that in my life, I generally tend to operate with 3 mantras. Anyone who knows me will recognize them. One is from Shakespeare, also not a surprise for me. One is from Lucille Clifton's work. One is from Sonia Sanchez. They go in that order. Once more unto the breach. Every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. I am black and ready. Sonia Sanchez imagined into being spaces that I couldn't have imagined. So did Lucille Clifton. And as complicated as it may seem, so did Shakespeare. I've been repeating Sonia's words a lot lately. This idea of being black and ready. And I've been hoping that they stay true for me. Or maybe I've been hoping that being black and ready will be enough to survive what's next. I know it will be enough to acquit myself, and admirably. But I don't know if it will be long enough to live. We all know that that's never been a promise for the Black American journey. To that end, I want to share with you the article that brought me here into your space this evening before I share any further thoughts. I have rape-colored skin. My light brown blackness is a living testament to the rules, the practices, the causes of the Old South. If there are those who want to remember the legacy of the Confederacy, if they want monuments, well then my body is a monument. My skin is a monument. Dead Confederates are honored all over this country with cartoonish private statues, solemn public monuments, and even in the names of United States Army bases. It fortifies and heartens me to witness the protests against this practice from the growing clamor of serious, nonpartisan public servants to redress it. But there are still those, like President Trump and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who cannot understand the difference between rewriting and reframing the past. I say it is not a matter of airbrushing history, but of adding a new perspective. I am a Black Southern woman, and of my immediate white male ancestors, all of them were rapists. My very existence is a relic of slavery. According to the rule of hypodescent, the social and legal practice of assigning a genetically mixed race person to the race with less social power, I am the daughter of 2 Black people, the granddaughter of 4 Black people, the great-granddaughter of 8 Black people. Go back one more generation, and it gets less straightforward and more sinister. As far as family history is always told, and as modern DNA testing has allowed me to confirm, I am the descendant of Black women who were domestic servants and white men who raped their help. It is an extraordinary truth of my life that I am biologically more than half white, and yet I have no white people in my genealogy and living memory. No voluntary whiteness. I am more than half white, and none of it was consensual. White Southern men, my ancestors, took what they wanted from women they did not love, over whom they had extraordinary power, and then failed to claim their children. What is a monument but a standing memory? An artifact to make tangible the truth of the past. My body and blood are tangible truth of the South and its past. The Black people I come from were owned by the white people I come from. The white people I come from fought and died for their lost cause. And I ask you now, who dares to tell me to celebrate them? Who dares to ask me to accept their mounted pedestals? You cannot dismiss me as someone who doesn't understand. You cannot say it wasn't my family members who fought and died. My Blackness did not put me on the other side of anything. It puts me squarely at the heart of the debate. I don't just come from South. I come from Confederates. I've got rebel gray blue blood coursing my veins. My great-grandfather Will was raised with the knowledge that that Edmund Pettus was his father. Pettus, the Confederate, the grand dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, the man for whom Selma's Bloody Sunday Bridge was named. So I am not an outsider who makes these demands. I am a great-great-granddaughter. And here I'm called to say that there is much about the South that is precious to me. I do my best teaching here and my best writing here. There is, however, a peculiar model of Southern pride that must now long last, be reckoned with. This is not an ignorant pride, but a defiant one. It's a pride that says our history is rich, our cause is justified, our ancestors lie beyond reproach. It is a pining for a certain greatness, if you will, a wish again for a certain kind of American memory, a monument-worthy memory. But here's the thing. Our ancestors don't deserve your unconditional pride. Yes, I am proud of every one of my Black ancestors who survived slavery. They earned that pride by any decent person's reckoning. But I am not proud of the white ancestors whom I know by virtue of my very existence to be bad actors. Among the apologists for the Southern cause and for its monuments, there are those who dismiss the hardships of the past. They imagine a world of benevolent masters and speak with misty eyes of gentility and honor and the land. They deny plantation rape or explain it away or question the degree of frequency with which it occurred. To those people, it is my privilege to say, I am proof. I am proof that whatever else the South might have been or might believe itself to be, it was and is a space whose prosperity and sense of romance and nostalgia were built upon the grievous exploitation of Black life. The dream version of the Old South never existed. Any manufactured monument to that time in that place tells half a truth at best. The ideas and ideals it purports to honor are not real. To those who have embraced these delusions, now is the time to re-examine your position. Either you have been blind to a truth that my body's story forces you to see, or you really do mean to honor the oppressors at the expense of the oppressed, and you must at last acknowledge your emotional investment in a legacy of hate. Either way, I say monuments of stone and metal, the monuments of cloth and wood, all the man-made monuments must come down. I defy any sentimental Southerner to defend our ancestors to me. I'm quite literally made of the reasons to strip them of their laurels. Now, that's the end of the article, obviously. The experience of having people respond to this piece the way they did has been extraordinary. But I have to say, some of the most moving insight has come from a corner that I didn't expect. So many Black women reached out to me. Can I pause for a second? Can the viewers hear the input that's coming in from my computer that's not me talking? Okay, I'm just checking. Thank you. So the experience of having people respond to this piece the way they did has been extraordinary. But I have to say that some of the most moving insight has come from a corner that I didn't expect. So many Black women reached out to me to thank me for speaking their truth. And they said this with the implication, or sometimes the explanation, that this truth, which to put plainly is the truth of plantation rape, the truth of light skin as a hard story, has been a secret too ugly or too hard or too dangerous to tell. And that was humbling to me because I hadn't realized in my need to indict these white male ancestors of mine the privilege I was manifesting while I did it. I am so lucky to have never experienced shame from that origin story. All kinds of elitism came together to protect me from that. Colorism, socioeconomic class, you name it. All kinds of transcendent grace too. I had a mother, a Black mother, who raised me on that bridge from trauma to transcendence. She taught me through her very existence every day that the survivor bears no shame, that the oppressor's power is in the ways they find to silence us, that our power is in the ways we find to speak our truth and live with joy. I'm talking about the unassailable strength you get from knowing you have not only survived, but recovered from and learned to thrive beyond an act of violence. That is the fundamental condition of being Black in America. The women I come from did that. The Black people I come from did that. It's a hard won, but immeasurably valuable virtue. The fact that much of the article's capital came from the fact that I come from white men who I was calling out, that's complicated, and we'll get to that later, hopefully. But again, I'm proud. I'm thrilled even to use whatever privilege I get from being their relative for the cause of lifting up the ones I love, the Black women, the people they didn't claim. To that end, before I turn it over to the panel that I cannot wait to speak with, I'd like to read here a poem I wrote when I was first trying to get to that work of naming and shaming those ancestors in order to reframe and transcend in my own life. This poem is called Field Nigger. This scarf. I bought it at some airport, going somewhere. Could it have been Dublin? No, I got there by boat. And this belt and this bag, well, isn't it wonderful to have a drawer to put each of these things away in? I'm just trying to be wife material, and I have become quite the genealogist. It makes me able to explain how I am not half Black. I have not been half Black since the one drop rule, since at least 4 of my great-great-grandfathers raped 4 of my great-great-grandmothers, and those women had children, and those men didn't. Memory is a poor servant, just a field nigger like me, plowing to put something on a page. Now, because I'm shameless and because I understand that Sonia Sanchez might actually be with us, I'm going to re-articulate something I already told y'all this evening, which is my mantra, the third part of my most important daily mantra, which is that I am Black and ready. I'm so grateful because that is on repeat in my brain right now. I am Black and ready. I'm so grateful to share space with you, Sonia Sanchez, this evening.
Caroline, that was amazing. Your poetry really spoke to the moment. You read a lot about folks and their history and their work. For you to share that really was a treat. It was really special. And for those who didn't get a chance to read the article prior to tonight, thank you again for reading it. I think it was inspirational, and your commentary was so needed and on time in this moment. So thank you. Uh, we're gonna actually have a quick uh, move in the program. Um, I want to introduce somebody who, Caroline just said it's her hero and is a hero to many of us as well. Somebody who we've all known, and somebody who had a big birthday about a month ago, and the whole world celebrated with her. Temple Professor Emeritus Sonia Sanchez is one of the most influential voices of the Black arts movement and was named Poet Laureate for the city of Philadelphia. Sanchez taught both undergraduate and graduate courses in Temple's English department for more than 20 years and served as the university's first presidential fellow. She is the author of more than 18 books and the recipient of a Pew Fellowship in the Arts, the Langston Hughes Poetry Award, and the Harper Lee Award. She is also the Poetry Society of America's Robert Frost Medalist and a Ford Freedom Scholar from the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History.
Oh
Ladies and
my
gentlemen,
God.
family, community, and siblings, I want to introduce to you all the great and the legendary, and our mama here in Philadelphia, Sonia Sanchez.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. It's an honor to be here. And I did hear our dear sister's piece. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece, my sister. And thank you uh, for letting me be here and being a
Of course.
part of this discussion, this celebration, you know, uh, uh, of is so people can understand exactly what has happened to us in this place called America. Um, I should I begin at this point? I was asked by my dear
Well, one of
sister
the things
if
that's
I
so
would read.
valuable, and I last saw you for a celebration for the Last Poets, I think a couple of years ago, and we spoke there at Uncle Bobby's with Mark Lamont Hill. And one of the things that
Right,
you said
right.
then that you said now is that we have to keep pushing on. And I think in this moment now, like never before, we must all push on as a
Mm.
community, particularly with all the challenges that we have going on in our lives.
And not only pushing on, but we've got
So
to, at
thank you.
some point, really come together. We've got to truly understand the necessity to put aside all
So we
of
would
these
love
little
to hear
small.
your piece that you prepared for us this evening.
Okay. Are you hearing me at all? Do you hear me? Are you hearing me?
We hear you well now. We hear
Marani,
you well now. We hear
you
you
hear me
well now,
now?
Mama Sonia. Yes, we do hear you well
Oh,
now, Mama
okay,
Sonia. Yes.
right. Yeah. No, I was saying that uh, that's thank you so much for those words, and I think one
Yes.
of the things we have to understand is that we've got to come together as we've never
Yeah.
come together before in order to survive, because this is a very dangerous time for all of us on this planet Earth right now. So we need very much to understand that we should put aside all of our secret smells and come and support each other. So my dear sister, I'm here to support you. I'm here to support this whole program. And one of the things that I chose to read is a piece that I did to Harriet Tubman, because I think we need
Mm,
to remember we think
wow.
it's bad now. Just think what it
Mhm.
was to have been enslaved, right?
Sure. Sure.
Enslaved still on many levels. But can you imagine what that was truly all about? And I ask again, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine. Thank you.
Okay. This I'm going to begin this poem uh, from text gathered from the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad State Park and Visitor Center, and it was gathered by sisters Nate Patterson and her mom, Marlene Patterson. Additional texts to be read from the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad State Park and Visitor Center. We are free because of Harriet Tubman, December 1850, Keziah Bowley, James Alfred Bowley, 6 years old, Araminta baby, John Bowley free. Early 1851, Moses Ross brother, unidentified man, unidentified man. Late 1851, unidentified man called brother, unidentified wife of unidentified, 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 unidentified. Fall 1852, unidentified, 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 unidentified. June 1854, Winnebar Johnson. Christmas 1854, Robert Ross, alias John Stewart, brother. Ross, alias William Henry Stewart, brother. Benjamin Ross Jr., alias James Stewart, brother. Jane Kane, alias Catherine Stewart, fiancée of Ben Ross Jr. Peter Jackson, John Chase, alias Daniel Lord, unidentified, possibly George Ross, unidentified, possibly William Thompson, unidentified, unidentified. Early 1855, Harriet Ann Parker Ross of William Henry Ross Stewart Sr., William Henry Ross, free son of William Ross Stewart Sr., John Isaiah Ross, alias John James Isaiah Stewart, free son of William Henry Ross Stewart Sr., December 1855. Henry Hooper, probably guided. May 1856, Ben Jackson, James Coleman, Henry Hopkins, William Conaway. We are free because of Harriet Tubman, October 1856, Tilly, November 1856, Hosea Bailey, William Bailey, Peter Pennington, the Monarchy, May 1857, Harriet Green Ross, Harriet Stewart Ross, alias Benjamin Stewart, father, December 1860, Stephen Ennals, Maria Ennals, Harriet Ennals, Amanda Ennals, Baby Ennals, John Cornish, alias John Wesley Reed, likely. Unknown dates, Margaret Stewart, Anne Marie Stewart, Amelia Hollis, alias Amelia Millie Hollis Stewart, Henry Carroll, unidentified twin girl, unidentified woman, unidentified twin girl, unidentified twin girl, unidentified twin girl, unidentified twin girl, unidentified twin girl. Picture a woman riding thunder on the legs of slavery. Picture her kissing our spines, saying no to the eyes of slavery. Picture a woman walking southern landscapes burning with moons. Picture her rotating the earth into a shape of lives becoming. Picture her leaning into the eyes of our birth clouds. Picture a woman moving in winter black, bringing summer moons. Picture this woman saying no to the constant yes of slavery. Picture a woman jumping rivers, her legs inhaling moons. Picture her ripe with seasons of legs running. Picture her tasting the secret corners of woods. Picture her saying, "You have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world." Imagine her words. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Imagine her saying, "I freed 1,000 slaves, could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves." Imagine her humming, how many days we got before we taste freedom. Imagine a woman asking, "How many workers for this freedom quilt?" Picture her saying, "A live runaway could do great harm by going back, but a dead runaway could tell no secrets." Picture the daylight bringing her to woods full of birth moons. Picture John Brown shaking her hands 3 times saying, "General Tubman, General Tubman, General Tubman." Picture her words. There's two things I got a right to: death or liberty. Picture her saying no to a play called Uncle Tom's Cabin. I am the real thing. Picture a black woman could not read or write, traveling freedom refrains. Picture her face turning southward, walking down a southern road. Picture this woman, freedom bound, taking a people's preserved breath. Picture her singing red moons, surprising life. Picture this woman of royalty wearing a crown of morning air. Picture her walking, running, reviving a country's breath. Picture her moon bent legs dancing inside freedom's guitar. Picture black voices leaving behind lost tongues. Picture her painting rainbows on a summer bent people. Picture a woman, I say, picture a woman walking on freedom legs, a sea spray of life, a sea spray of life, a sea spray of life. Mm, 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 mm. Harriet Tubman. We are free because of Harriet Tubman. We walk on this earth because of people like Harriet Tubman, who decided to help us move towards something called freedom in a place not named, not called, not walking on American legs as yet. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Wow, that was incredible, incredible, incredible. Mama Sonia, thank you so much for gifting us with that. Your words always find a way to resonate with our hearts and minds and spirit. And certainly in this moment where we see nationally and globally a lot of the leadership in our organizations and movement being led by Black women, it's so
Right.
pertinent and great to see this choice of a selection being about the somebody whose life I think is really immortal, and that is in Harriet Tubman. She certainly lives on in many people who are doing work today. So thank you for that. With that being
Thank you, my
said, and I
friend.
want to keep yes, thank you, and we'll keep you on for a conversation because we want to actually tap in with not only Caroline Randall Williams, not only Sonia Sanchez, but I also, if you can, I want to bring in our first panel, and this person is amazing. Tripita B. Mason is the City of Philadelphia 2020-2021 Poet Laureate. She reads her poetry widely and works extensively, facilitating poetry and creative writing workshops. Her work sheds light on and honors the immigrant experience as someone who is from Liberia, a native of Liberia, and amplifies the stories of everyday people. She is a recipient of a Pew Fellowship in Literature, Leeway Transformation Award, Leeway Art and Change Grant, and Pennsylvania Council on the Arts Grants. Her work also was nominated for a 2016 Pushcart Prize. She is a Cave Canem and Callaloo Fellow and the 2019 Aspen Words Emerging Writers Fellow with the Aspen Institute. She is the author of She Was Once Herself and Mocha Melodies. Tripita also released two music and poetry projects, Scat and This Is How We Get Through, in collaboration with internationally known jazz guitarist Monette Sudler. Next, I actually want to introduce somebody who is so close also to many of our colleagues here at the Department of Behavioral Health, somebody who has done such amazing cultural work here in Philadelphia. Marangeli Mejia Rebel is a Puerto Rico born, Philadelphia based cultural producer, thinker, and community development practitioner whose work centers on cross sector partnerships and the arts and culture as a tool for social change and community self actualization. As co founder and creative partner of Afro Taino and director of the Philadelphia Latino Film Festival, she curates, designs, and executes arts and culture programming special events and projects for multicultural audiences in public and private arenas. She brings strong skills in developing and leading projects, campaigns, and programs that combine business and community objectives in over 3 decades of experience making systems and metrics to measure collective impact. She is currently a coach in training as part of the inaugural cohort of the National Arts Strategies Leadership Coaching Training Program. With that being said, if we can bring on our additional panelists, Chapita Mason and Marjeli Mejia Rebel.
Good evening.
We're, we're all here.
Yes, Sister Sonia, good evening. Sending you love and hugs. Marjeli, it's nice to meet you. Thank you,
Same
Gabe.
here,
How are you?
Chapita.
Right.
So this has really been a phenomenal conversation. I really want to ask a question really for Caroline, but also ultimately for you all, and anybody can really jump into this question. Um, EMOC really wanted to make sure that although we focus on engaging men of color, that the stories of women of color were expressed particularly in this moment. What have you seen as you look at this time period, the climate of the country? What have you seen or what have you experienced that ties into the importance of making sure that all of our attendees tonight, everybody participating, understands the grander narrative and grander story of women of color here in the United States in this moment? Why is that important?
Mm. Wow.
Oh,
Anybody can jump in.
I'm delighted to speak to it, but I am certainly not the authority on this in this world or on this panel. Um, you know, while I was listening to Sonia Sanchez read her
Mm.
like luminous, transcendent piece about Harriet Tubman, I wrote down a note and I said to myself, only Black women are the only people on earth who can only give birth to Black babies.
Mm.
Every baby that any Black woman gives birth to is a Black baby. And that's thanks to rules of hypo-descent and thanks to externally imposed social norms of every kind, but it's a radical gift, in my opinion, in this day and age. And so when I think about, and that's true of every brown woman who has ever felt a loss of agency or a compromising of agency about what her body's used for, who she's asked to make babies with, whatever rules made that man think that he had power over you are the same rules that mean that every baby that comes out of your body is of your people. And I think that is something that is really precious to me to hang on to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's part of the capital of being a vessel, right? Just like being a well or being a cannon
Mm-hmm.
or being a black hole or being any kind of infinite vessel of great power. And so that's sort of what I'm thinking about when you ask me that question right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love to hear what my panelists have to say about it, because my fellow panelists have to say about it, because that is not my place to speak on alone.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
please.
I'm thought a lot about power. First of all, Carolyn, thank you for your beautiful narrative and poem. And Sister Sonia, thank you for the poem. I thought a lot about the power and the thing that you're speaking about, Caroline, the vessel. And then I kept reflecting on respite and the need for the body, as much as it produces and as much as it has to become involved with, whether it's taking care of home, children, family, all of these things. I thought about that need to pause and the need for respite and care. And with everything that's happening around us right now, I just kept thinking about the fatigue that comes with suppression and oppression. And as much as we are a gift to the world, and I believe this wholeheartedly, we that gift has to kind of give back to ourselves to be able to have that respite, peace of mind, peace of body, peace of spirit. So that's what I'm reflecting on, how tiring it is to carry all of this and the
Yeah.
need to be able to have that respite. So,
Yeah. Thank you for that, Pepita. Thank you to the panel, and thank you to the department and First Person Arts for inviting me to be part of this conversation. Honor, to say the least, to be part of this evening with you. That concept of defiant pride, right? And how women have that, how we bring that, right? In a way that when I think about what we're experiencing now and how tough it is and what the challenges are, I made myself a promise a couple of years ago, which is I will not become bitter. I will not become jaded. I will come in with an open mind and an open heart, and I will carry on and take it one day at a time and be ready for battle. And our battle is our work. Our battle is, freeing ourselves from internalized oppression and continuing this dialogue and embracing community and reconciling those bad actors that are part, as Carolyn said earlier, and mistakes and things that are part of our background and where we come from, right? In my case, I relocated to Philadelphia after being raised in Puerto Rico, which is a colony. And coming here, it's a poem as I'm trying to absorb and to really understand. It is Sandra Maria Esteves and a poem called Here, where she goes, I am two parts a person, Boricua speak, past and present, alive and oppressed, given a cultural beauty, but robbed of a cultural identity. And that captured a lot right there. And just, that openness to understand that our communities keep on evolving and growing, and that we hold on to the beauty of our legacies and the strength of our ancestors. But how do we continue to include new perspectives and understand that, again, that open mind and that open heart is critical for us. And I think Black women and women of color are, that's a great way of really saying the strength that women bring to this equation.
I think, and I want to bring on, again, Mama Sonia or anybody, how do you cope with the challenges, the issues, the concerns, the daily trepidations, the tribulations and crises that enter into your world, right? Obviously, as a system of behavioral health and mental health, the good thing is that self-care has become, really a verb and a narrative and a story and a foundational principle in many of our lives now, right? It's really been normalized to a certain extent. What are those means or those ways that you've coped as we found ourselves not only in this current moment of 2020 with the corona, with the upcoming election, but just, again, the everyday being as a Black woman, as a Latinx woman, as a woman from the continent, right? Like there are things that just aren't talked about enough that are the day-to-day crises that people need to know as well. How do you cope, though, I think is the question. And maybe we'll start with Mama Sonia.
Go ahead.
If we can, Mama Sonia, can jump on this, and then we'll get back to you, Marangeli.
I don't know. I think at some point, I'm 86 years of age, much older than many of you here. And as a consequence, there are things that we had to learn, things that we had to do. There are things that we had to encounter at some point. You know, one of the reasons why I wanted to read the Harriet Tubman piece is because there are things that we have to look at and understand. I mean, we're having it tough right now, but can you imagine what it really was to be
Mm,
enslaved? I mean, we are
mm,
enslaved on many levels, but sometimes we enslave ourselves with our own thoughts, you know, with our
Mhm.
ways of not trying to understand that on many levels, we as women of color, we as Black, Latina, we as women, you know, who at some point are looking at a world that looks askance at us. As we watch the
mm,
politics of a place called America, we see a Black woman and a Latino woman, you know, who's running for vice president, you know, that people can call her out of her name. And I said, how dare
mm,
you call her out of her name? Do you know who she is, sucker?
Mm.
You know,
mm,
the point of all of this is simply is that, you know, we can sometimes constantly talk about the same thing over and over again. But what we must understand is that it is important for us to come together. I mean, we've got to
mm,
drop these secret spells. I have been in so many
mm,
organizations
mm,
where I've seen some of the same women, you know, and we look at each other and we smile and we go our own ways. Now, at this time, there's no way to go our own ways. I mean, our survival depends on us surviving together, living together.
yeah,
Mhm.
Stop gossiping about each other. Stop disliking
mm,
each other. We're all different. So what? We're different, you know. But the point is that the similarities are simply that we are awfully oppressed, that this country thinks it can do without us, or this country thinks it can put us on the lowest scale, you know, of this
mhm,
ladder. And they stay there, Black woman, stay there, Puerto Rican woman, stay there, and don't do
mm,
anything unless I
mhm,
tell you what to do. And the whole point simply is that I've seen women, you know, rise up on many levels. And then when the issue resolves, they go their separate ways. There's no more
mm,
Mhm.
going our separate ways. From now on, we must live together in our communities. We must all be a part of each other's organizations. You know, we must truly understand finally that this whole idea of contempt that we sometimes feel for each other, you know, has got to disappear if we are
mm,
to survive. This 21st century says simply that we people of color will teach people how to be human. There's no doubt about that.
mhm,
Our
mm,
experiences on this earth will tell people this is the way we walk upright as human beings, you know, not the way that
Mhm.
you taught, whatever. And that's important for us truly to understand that we who come from our great mothers, you know, being raped, whatever. And the point of that is that imagine being raped and giving birth to a child that does not even look like you, but you grab that
mm,
child to your breast because that is your child. So I'm saying to you,
mhm,
you might not look like me. You know, you might have straight hair, I might have curly hair, right? You know, you might have a straight nose, mine might be flat, right? Brown skin, yellow skin, white skin, it doesn't matter. We
Mhm.
all, as people of color, have experienced people in our families who were white, you know, and others who were blackly black, whatever. But what we did is that we learned how to love each other. We worked together.
Mhm.
We took care of each other. And in this
mhm,
time right now, what we must begin to understand is that we must look at each other and vow that we will not in any way destroy each other with our tongues, you know, with anything, but we will walk together as human beings, showing the world exactly this is the way you walk as a human being. This is how you talk. This is how you treat each other. This is how you live.
Absolutely.
This is how you work. This is how you love above all. This is how you be.
mm, mhm.
Mama
Sweet.
Sonia, I'm gonna pass a plate around, and we're gonna
Nobody
talk
else.
some.
Nobody.
We just want to listen to
Um,
her.
and
We can
in
sit
lieu
here
of
all
a
night long.
in lieu of a mic, I'm gonna drop the pen.
You're gonna drop the
Oh
pen?
my
Okay.
God.
Mhm,
Right.
Powerful,
But
powerful. But I do want to make
you
sure.
all are so important to us, though. You know,
Yes,
and the
yeah.
yes,
thing that I think that you've got to understand is that we learn from each other. You know, this is
yes.
not a
Mhm.
competition, people. We're not
No,
Mhm,
competing
no.
for life,
mhm,
not at
mhm,
If
all.
I can,
We are not competing for life at all.
yeah,
That
if I
this is
can,
not a
Mama Sonia,
competition.
yeah,
Mhm.
real quick, I do want to get Marjolie's points, if you can, just a moment, if you can, just
Sure,
some
I'm so
time.
sorry.
You know,
No,
what do you?
I
No, no
no no
problem
no
at
no
all.
no.
Mhm.
If you can, I do want to hear your thoughts,
Again,
though, Marjolie, about what you do.
yeah,
How do
I
you
think
cope?
she's definitely touching on really important things. I think the coming to terms of the fact that learning is an ongoing process, and that it doesn't
Mhm.
matter what we feel we know, there's
Mhm.
always more to learn, and that is talking to each other and supporting each other and lifting each other and understanding our differences, that we can really break through all these layers of mold that we're dealing with. I mentioned earlier that I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and the layers of internalized oppression are real. And
Mhm.
understanding that, moving here and starting to, oh my God, and connecting, right? Dots, and understanding that that's also an ongoing process, that it doesn't matter how much you feel that you're on your grind and you're doing your work and the intentions are good. you know it's you keep on checking yourself so you don't wreck yourself at any moment.
That's
And
right.
Right.
hey, hey,
Yeah, that's where
and
we're at.
it's real, and I think this moment right now is really critical. And at some point earlier, there was the point made of how people are still, there are different layers of what it's to be enslaved and what it's to look
Mhm.
through other eyes and buy into
Mhm.
this of who you should be. Right, when I talk about internalized oppression, where people are looking at themselves and going, in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of, even looking back now 32 years later, after relocating to Philly, I grew up in a place where all the forms said black, white. So you
Right.
had, at some point, it really, there was, I fill out the census and I always mark other and I write Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
you figure it out, like, you know what I mean? but
Right. Right.
but how people bought into this white supremacy narrative, and
Yes.
how this was the way to go. So that was very shocking. And it is still very shocking when we see people that want to assimilate and don't do this and don't do that, or you're too loud, or you're too bright, or you're too, and how
Mm.
it is an ongoing process to come to terms with, I'm not going to conform. I'm going to show up as
Right.
who I am.
Mhm.
And being that
Absolutely.
authentic self it's gonna really be the part of taking care of
Yeah.
myself. I want to connect to what Trapita mentioned earlier. And in our communities, we want to keep on going, and we want to be reliable, and we want to be resilient, and we want to be strong. All of
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
needs to incorporate that self-care. You
And
seeing yourself as a priority is almost a sin. It's like, no, you're for your
yeah,
family, you're for your kids, you're for your, no.
Mhm.
In order for me to be for everybody, I have to take care of me.
that's
Take
right.
care.
And one thing I want
So,
to do on that point, if I could, is I want to do two things. First of all, I want to
mhm,
thank you all for your commentary. We're going to keep this going. But before we
mhm,
do that, for those who are watching on Zoom, it's very important for us to get your information. We're going to keep going. We're not going to stop. But right now in the chat, we've dropped a link for you all to complete a survey. This survey, all you got to do is click on the link in the chat, and you'll be able to pull it up. It gives us some basic information that will allow us to serve you better. We want to know who's in the house tonight. Shout out to some folks who we know are watching this evening, including our former commissioner, Dr. Arthur C. Evans, including Renee Shanaf Fatah. So many folks who are checking in this evening. We want to thank you all for watching. But again, that survey is in the chat right now. It should take you about a minute to complete. It's some basic questions that will, again, help us out with our data collection and evaluation as we move forward towards other events in the future for EMOC and for DBHIDS. So please complete that, and that will be helpful towards us. Thank you so much in advance. With that being said, I want to bring up somebody who is also not only phenomenal in their own right, but somebody who is a dear friend, somebody who I uh, love in many ways, and somebody who we've worked together through the years, and I adore all of her sons, and we know her as well. Ursula Rucker is an internationally acclaimed poet, mother of four boys, mentor, and role model. In her 16-year career, she has released 4 solo albums and worked on over 30 collaborations with music producers from across the globe. She is committed to using her poetry as a vehicle of protest and activism. Her mission and calling is to heal herself, the planet, and its people through her art. Her poetry tells the stories of struggle, love, womanhood, peace, anger, injustice, and spirituality. As an artist who has performed in many continents, countries, classrooms, and community centers, she sees herself as an ambassador of culture, issues, truth, and love. Based on her personal experience and the response of countless fans and audiences, Ursula believes that art and poetry are catalysts for change. While she sees the world as her community, she pays particular attention to the world of women, the indigenous, these foreign people, and sufferers of injustice. And I must say, like I always say, I remember the first time I heard her on a Roots album many, many albums ago, and she struck me then. And as an adult, meeting her and being a friend of hers, she continues to inspire me today. So with that being said, let's bring on the wonderful and Philly Zone, Ursula Rucker. How
Gabe,
are
you
you?
know how much. Oh my God, you know I love
Make sure that
you.
we get her
I just.
sound right. I'm not sure if we can
Oh,
hear you. We'll get the song together. Can we hear her now? Speak.
can you hear me now?
Perfect, perfect, perfect. How are you?
All right. Ah,
I
I'm
know.
glad to be
I know.
here. How about that?
I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. Me and
Thank
Ursula have a
you,
lot
Gabe.
of unspoken. We have a lot of unspoken conversations.
Yeah,
But I will
yeah.
say this though, as a mother of four boys, I know particularly in this moment of Walter Wallace Jr. I know I've been following you on social media. I know this is a very intense moment for all of us. The pain, the grief, the anger, the rage. But I want to ask you, just as somebody who was a powerful poet in our midst, but also a mom of these four sons spelled with a U. Um, how are you feeling? In this moment right now, and how can we support you?
Ah, Gabe, hitting straight at the heart. First let me say thank you to you. Thank you to
No
First
problem.
Person Art for doing this, and anyone else who was in the mix and the posse, making all the plans, making this happen, bringing it to fruition. Carolyn, Randall, oh my God, listen, we friends already. Carolyn, I don't know if you feel it or not, but we friends already, so it's done. Forget about it. Mama Sonia, you already know. Trapita, you already know. Maggie, you already know. Jamie Brunson, thank you. Okay. Oh, I'm feeling so many things, and then just receiving and inhaling everything that has been shared here this evening. I guess what I've been saying all day kind of encapsulates how I feel right now, and that is this: what we gonna do? You know, what we really gonna do? And how are we going to do it? How are we going to show up for each other? And if you're not showing up for each other, well, make an exit or something, because we don't have no time. Yeah, we got work to do out here. It's like, what? You haven't learned that we have to work together, like Mama Sonia said, that we have to look, we can celebrate and uplift ourselves and our own and still work together. It's a balancing act. Figure it out. You can do it. It's a balancing act, but we can do it, and we have to do it. And the pain, that I feel right now, but just thinking about the pain that Walter Wallace Jr.'s mama feels right now, as a Black mama of four Black sons, I can barely articulate the hurt that I feel in this moment, the frustration that I feel at this moment. And you know what? I want to be honest with you. The rage that I feel in this moment, that I have to figure out what to do with, that we often have to figure out what to do with our rage, right? Oh, nobody wants Black people enraged. Nobody wants Black folks enraged, right? Right? You know, we can't get enraged. We're only 3/5, right? You know, we can't do the things that other people do. We're not allowed to feel the things that other people feel. We're not allowed. Look, did you hear about the man in Georgia who went into the Japanese restaurant with his sneakers on and they told him to leave?
Yeah.
This man looked clean, right? I'm like, oh, we can't do anything. We can't come into Japanese restaurants and give you our money when we have pockets full of money with our clean Jordans on or whatever. You know, like, what are we talking about in this time of Corona and reckoning of everything, not just race, but everything, the whole way we think about everything, we're still worried about. Like, come on, you're going to tell me this is about sneakers? Nah. We're going to learn how to come as we are, Gabe. We're going to learn how to come as we are and love each other as we are and accept each other as we are and celebrate each other as we are. And we're going to do what we have to do to get these, I said, we're going to do what we have to do to stop our children from being murdered out here by the police.
Yeah. You know, I think that you said some very poignant ideas that will resonate with a lot of the folks who are on the panel. I think, you know, one of the things, even as somebody who is dealing with the rage, do you find that you're able to tap into a sense of joy, you know, in these moments as well? Like, or how do you do that? Or like, where do you find it?
That's such a good
That's the
question.
Yeah.
I wish that I wish I had a more exciting answer. I mean, I got to be honest with you because I'm encouraging all people to be honest with themselves and with others right now. It's not time to hide the way you feel. You can let people know how you feel, you know.
Right.
It's hard for me to find joy right now, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I keep stumbling into it. Like this gathering is a joyful, you know, virtual thing. We can't hug each other and touch each other, but I'm grateful for these convenings, you know. But then when we turn it off, I'm back to my thoughts, you know, and I'm back to the way that I feel, and I think we all are. So, yeah, it's hard to access joy right now.
Yeah, no, understood. If we can, I would like to bring everybody back together if we can, and I want to get back with Caroline because I think that you may have heard a lot today in the past, I guess, half an hour as we're going through this question and answer and these ideas, and I want to really kind of tap in with Caroline and just think about, you know, any thoughts that you may have in this moment as you're processing, you know, Tripita's comments, Marnjetti's comments, and Ursula's comments. You know, is there anything that kind of taps in for you or resonates that might be helpful for us as well?
Oh my God. I don't want to take up time with being obsequious, but I don't think it's obsequious to say that I wept to my mother this morning trying to explain to her who I was speaking with this afternoon and how I didn't understand the space that I was occupying in this space.
Sure.
I remember in college listening to the Sun Lady album and just like yelling, I am black and ready at my mother, like, you know, from my dorm room of college. I can't, my mind's exploding. So just bear with me in real time. I can't, I'm in total awe and admiration. But, you know, Ursula, to your point, and I'm just crying all the time. So if I start crying again, I apologize. It's the apocalypse as far as I can tell. The joy is, and I'll evoke Lucille Clifton here, the other second, third of my mantra every day. Every day something has tried to kill us and has failed. And to me, that is joy. Knowing that nevertheless live, right? We're salving salvage in the spin. This is what Gwendolyn was calling us to do. Like, this is the whirlwind. We're living in it right now. And it's a mess. It's a wilderness and it's a mess. And I think one of the wild things that I've been thinking about a lot, and I have in my journal the quote, Sister Sonia, of Harriet Tubman talking about, I had tooth surgery almost a year ago right now, and they put a cadaver bone powder in my jaw, which was wild to me in the first place because I thought, oh, I'm going to be haunted. I've got a ghost tooth now. But beyond that, I refused to be put under. I told them they had to operate on me awake because I couldn't stand the idea of being put under in that space for a number of reasons. And I think I know a lot of Black people who are afraid of anesthesia. I know a lot of people in general who are. But I stayed awake and I thought about Harriet Tubman having her awake brain surgery and she talks about how the doctor lifted her head up and then she felt better. And that's all she said about it, except for that she bit down on a bullet that she kept from the Civil War while he cut her head open. And I think about, it's a gift to be called to manifest any version of a fortitude that reminds you of the women who came before you. And I am proud to walk into spaces where I am asked to see if I'm made of their metal. I'm very afraid of it too. And I'm not asking for hardship, but I'm invested in being sure, in proving that I come from what they made me to come from. Because I know that they've already done it. That's why we're here. And I think that the fact that I can say that in space like this and the miracle of that feels like a joy. And I say that knowing that I've cried all day today and I'll cry tomorrow all day too. It's bleak. It is bleak. But we are well. We didn't make this. We have survived this. And we will continue to survive this. And that to me is the sort of the strange dance that we're in right now, especially as Black people, especially as women, as we're going, I will survive anything because I'm here. But what are y'all doing? That's sort of the dance of that is disorienting, but I think that sends us back to what Sonia was talking about our grievances amongst ourselves cannot outweigh our demand to be recognized as human, as a group. And I think that is it. And what's funny is it's simple work. It's not easy, but it's simple. All we have to do is decide that we're all on the same side. It's simple. There's not many steps. It's you take one step and decide that we're all on the same side. And then we figure out what to do next. And it isn't easy because there are grievances that people want to feel seen and heard for all of the layers of their trauma and their toil. But I think I'm grateful to be called to account for saying we are all doing the same work here, and whatever way I can put my shoulder to the wheel is the work. And if I have the strength for the work, then I have the strength to quiet my personal grievances for now, because it's life or death at the moment. Democracy is at stake. Humanity is at stake. So whatever my private grievances are, I've got to just put them aside because there's work. And not only that, but I'm delighted to put them aside because it's going to connect me to people I would have missed because I was petty. And the pettiness is to do with the calluses from all the microaggressions. And there's more, So I don't know. It's a weird time because I feel galvanized by the crisis. I feel galvanized by the crisis. I don't know that if this weren't happening that I would have ever gotten to share Zoom space or real space with Sonia Sanchez in a poetry reading. Do you know, I mean, that I don't know the gifts of this time and terror of this time are together for me. And
Mm.
that is inspiring as much as it is harrowing in some ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so for me,
If we
two okay.
Go ahead,
Yeah, so
please,
just
Peter.
two quick things. Each day, I really do try to make it a mission to practice joy. I have this thing, everyone knows me for years, on my answering machine that says happiness is a choice, and the practice of gratitude, just the gratitude. When I think about us, all of us on here are writers and producer, and I think about, as Sister Sonia says, a time when we did not have the ability or the luxury to even do that. So this gift of poetry, this gift of being able to write, the gift of being on the right side of history, the gift of being able to tell your story, and tell the stories of the other people, stories that people don't care about writing and care about hearing, to have that gift to do that. And then the second thing is grace. Everyone's talking on here about coming together as a community, coming together as women, as sisters, and supporting one another. And I think about all the job, sometimes we're at these jobs and something happened and you say, oh, I'm not gonna say anything right now. Okay, my bosses or whatever, but I'm just gonna deal with it. Or you go to the market and someone slights you and you just deal with it because you go back to the market where they slighted you. But when it comes to your own sister and this idea of sisterhood, we're not able to extend that grace. You're more grace to someone who got your bread or your cheesesteak order wrong because you go back to the store. But when you're slighted by your sister, you say, oh, I can't deal with her. So I do have to hearken back to what Sister Sonia says. It is a practice, and you have to discipline yourself, and you have to love yourself and your sister enough to extend the grace, to say, I forgive you, I love you, we need each other, we're a community. I think those two things, mindfully practicing that, and my background is clinical social work, so I'm thinking a lot about mental health, and practicing gratitude and practicing grace, and being a part of that community of sisters, no matter what, it's essential.
Mm,
That's powerful.
I
And
agree.
so I want to, yes,
Can I say something?
um, please do, please,
Can I
please.
say something?
Yes, please.
You know, I think that, we are so involved right now with death, but I think our role as writers and as women of color must be a dance of life. And every morning you get up, you got to have your dance of life. This is your dance of life in the midst of death. Our dance of life in the midst of losing children. What is our dance of life? How will we dance? I mean, how will we merengue our life? How will we mambo our life? How will we jazz up our life every day? It is incumbent upon us walk and do our dance of life. Every day we wake up, and as we give praise for having waked up again. I am woke on many levels, if you understand the word woke. I am woke,
Amen.
and let me begin my dance of life, not my dance of death, because death is all around us. This is my dance of life. You understand life? If you understand life, break down life. How do you dance life? How do you move your arms in life? How do you shake your head in life, and your eyes and your mouth and your tongue in life? Because we've got to do life now and show the world that in this of all this death, we are living, that we have
That's
lived
right.
through death before. We are living, we are alive, and we will stay alive and bring all of these people with us, in this life dance, in this constant life dance, in this life dance. And, that every day,
Ashe,
you got to say
ashe.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mama
thank you.
Sonia.
Give thanks, Mama Sonia, for that. I think that that's a great way to close out this conversation. Again, I want to thank Caroline Randall Williams. I want to thank Mama Sonia Sanchez. I want to thank Marangeli Maya Rebel. I want to thank
Thank you.
Chapita Mason. And I want to thank Ursula Rucker. And I want to thank
Mm.
you all for being a part of this conversation. This has been an amazing
Thank you.
event, an amazing dialogue, and an amazing opportunity for us to really delve deep in what it means to think about my body as a monument. The
I have a question
stories,
before we go, Gabe.
narratives. Say
Gabe,
again?
Uh-huh.
I have a question before we go
Go ahead, Ursula.
for everyone, for my mama Sonia, who is my mentor and my guide so often. Thank you. For
Mhm.
Maggie and my sister, my longtime sister. I love you so much, Shakita.
Thank
You
you.
too, sis.
Is it
Rebecca, you-
okay? Is it okay? Are there, is it okay for me to have those moments when I can't access joy? Am I allowed to sit in my? Am I allowed to sit in this shit I'm feeling right now that is everywhere all around me? I know I don't have to stay there, but am I
Mhm.
allowed to have that too, as
Of
well as the
course,
joy?
you acknowledge.
Yes.
We acknowledge it
Yes.
all. Yeah, yeah. But we move out of it.
Mhm.
And this is how we stay healthy. I mean, if I'm feeling pain, I might go around the house and say, "Pain, I got this goddamn pain, but get out of my body. You don't need to stay in my body because at some point
Mhm.
I have the joy of living. We have the joy of life. So many people have died; they don't have the joy of life. So we have the joy of life with us. And we must announce it every day. This is my joy of life. I am living. I am alive. I can talk. I can walk. I can teach. And I can greet my sisters and brothers. And I mean those of you who know me. I extend the sisters and brothers to everybody at some point that we've got to walk upright as human beings because if we don't, we will not have this planet anymore and each other
Mm,
anymore.
mm. And sit
Yeah,
sit in it for as
thank you.
long as,
Hallelujah.
yes, thank you, Sister Sonia. Sit in it for
Yeah.
as long
Thank
as you
you.
need to sit in it, Ursula, or all of us.
Mhm.
We've all sit in it. Release yourself
Hmm.
when you're ready to and able to, or reach for a sister or a brother to help you.
Absolutely.
Help all of
Mhm.
us. We can't do this alone, as Sister Sonia said. So there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with sitting in it. We've all been there. And I think the message is
Hmm.
at some point we have to recognize that there is that light. There is that end. There is, and if you can't do it by yourself, there's that community of supporters that will wrap themselves around you. I know I'm
Absolutely.
here. I'll wrap
Uh-huh.
myself around you, sister.
And we love you. And we love you, Ursula. We love you so much. And we love all of you. We're not done. We have so much, a little bit more to go. So hopefully, although it's 9:08, hopefully you'll be with us just a few more minutes as we get ready to close. I actually, because as you all saw on the scroll on your screen, we've been sharing resources pretty much all night. Please make a call. Please make an email. Please tap in. And so, two things are going to happen. One, we're going to drop in a second survey into the chat. This will allow us to again learn more about you, what you've heard today, how you've experienced it. And so we're going to get ready to drop that survey into the chat. But as we're doing that, and as we complete that, I actually want to introduce our final speaker for the evening. And this is a treat as well because we want to welcome her. She is our new CEO of Community Behavioral Health, CBH,
Mm,
Dr. Faith Dyson Washington. She is a native Philadelphian, a licensed psychologist with over 20 years of experience in the behavior health field, including evidence based practices, clinical operations, and behavioral health policy. Prior to being the CEO at CBH, she served as Senior Director of Behavioral Health Integration at Public Health Management Corporation, where she oversaw behavioral health services across integrated health services. That being said, I want to bring in, if we can, our fantastic new colleague, Dr. Faith Dyson Washington. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? You can? Good. I see the yes in the comment box. I would just like to commend DBHIDS, Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services, for such a wonderful event. Also want to give honor to Dr. Evans, the visionary that seems like was behind this, and the continued support of DBHIDS and Roland Lamb, EMOC. This was
Without the music though, right? You don't want the music though, right?
this was amazing. I also just want to give thanks to all the amazing women who were here tonight. Caroline, you did a wonderful job.
Oh, so
Have
she's
to
not right
give
now
honor
on the Zoom
to
that everybody's watching?
Mama Sanchez too. I'm a Temple alum, so I'm proud. Also have a degree, majored in African American Studies. So I'm here as the new CEO of Community Behavioral Health.
No, but what I'm saying is, are people watching it, watching the entire night?
I'm here as the new CEO of Community.
Hello?
Hello, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm here as the new CEO of CBH, and I really just, we couldn't end without
Okay.
really,
So people can see her right now, right?
didn't want to end without encouraging everyone to support, to get support and additional help when they need it. CBH has a 24/7 member services, and I think the slide has been running across the screen, but the number is 1-888-545-2600. Again, that's 1-888-545-2600. And so anyone that has Medicaid in the city of Philadelphia, Community Behavioral Health is contracted by the city to manage your behavioral health care. And in these times, as we've been discussing tonight, we need to support one another. We need healing. We need a safe space to talk through some of this trauma. And so I encourage you to use that member services hotline. And that's for all types of services. So that's for emergency services. If you have yourself or a loved one is in need of emergency services, that's for urgent treatment. And that's maybe treatment within 24 hours. We can help. We have people on that line to service and get you connected to appropriate supports. And that's also for what we call routine care. So that's outpatient treatment, maybe that's needed within the next week or so. I encourage you to utilize that number. Get this information out to the community. Again, that's 1-888-545-2600 CBH member services. We want to be able to connect people to appropriate care. Part of our mission is to promote health and wellness, and I'm here to help Community Behavioral Health deliver on that promise to the Philadelphia community. Thanks again for having me. Thank you for this wonderful program, and we will get through this together.
Thank you so much. And sorry about the technical difficulties and some of you are hearing some of my commentary, but hopefully you were able to learn some things from Dr. Faith Dyson-Washington with regards to our work over at CBH. Once again, I want to thank our feature speaker and a keynote this evening, Caroline Randall Williams. Once again, if you have the opportunity, please go on ahead and read the article. As she read it earlier today, it's a phenomenal piece that really speaks to this moment. And if we could, before we close out, I do want to spend and have a moment of silence for Walter Wallace Jr. We'll just spend a moment of silence for him and his life and what he means to us, and particularly thinking about his mother in West Philadelphia. So if we can please take a quick moment of silence to recognize him in this moment. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, we will. I think the word today that comes to mind is healing, unity, hope, and possibility. So I really want to thank you all for being a part of this experience. This really was nurturing. I feel full right now in a lot of different ways. And so I'm just thankful in this moment for the opportunity to share space with you all. So thanks again. Thanks again. I want to thank the entire Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services, DBH IDS. I want to thank Carolyn Randall Williams once more. I want to thank Mama Sonia Sanchez. I want to thank Marangeli Mia Rebel. I want to thank Peter Mason. I want to thank Ursula Rucker. But also, I really want to thank our team over at First Person Arts, Jamie Brunson, Danielle Marino, Tanisha, and the entire team over at FPA, as well as our production team. I want to thank James. I want to thank Dave for their just ongoing work for the past month to make today happen. And once again, I also want to thank our EMOC team back at DBH IDS, all of our committee members, including our Deputy Commissioner, Roland Lamb, who's really been a staunch visionary for this program, somebody who really was inspired by Caroline's piece and really was the moment that kind of catalyzed us having this evening's event. And I also want to thank Anthony McLaughlin. I want to thank Nicole Connell. I want to thank all of our staff, including Iris Lozada and Eddie Collazo, my team members back at DBH who do a phenomenal job, as well as the rest of our community-based services team, including Rebecca Houston, Samantha Granum, and Cesar Mantia. This has been My Body is a Monument. We hope that you will check in and tap in with us in the future. Please go to Healthy Minds Philly in the future for more upcoming events and programs and dates. And you can also follow EMOC on Twitter at EMOC Philly. That's EMOC Philly on Twitter. Follow us right now for more info and for more ongoing work. Thank you very much. Have a good night.